then you're going to come to a conclusion that is faulty. So you have to make sure that your first two statements here are both valid and true for this to work and be a solid, valid argument. All right? Okay, so again, you don't have to copy all of this, but just kind of get the idea. A conclusion that's reached with deductive reasoning is logically sound and it's airtight, assuming that your premises are true. And so it's going to be fully convincing, especially if it's based on a definition. For example, if I say to you, the definition of a penny is that it's a flat disc, it's copper in color, and it has a picture of Honest Abe on it, and I know that I have a penny in my pocket, then I can be pretty much 100% certain, right, that if I pull it out, what's it going to look like, by definition? It's going to be copper, it's going to have a picture of Honest Abe on it, it's going to be a flat disc. So that's deductive reasoning, 100% certain. Here's another one. I'm going to start with this premise here that all turtles have shells by definition. Shell animal. The animal that I have captured I know is a turtle. Therefore, I can be 100% certain that the animal that I have caught in my bag has a shell.
Yeah, we did that.
Any questions? This makes sense.
Well,
Unless I guess it's...
Actually, there's some kind of turtles that
all the reasons it might lose its shell. Alright, so let's look at the flip side of this. So that's deductive. Alright, and then we're going to look at inductive. So this is a different way that you can approach an argument or reason. This one, whereas deductive was a top-down approach, this is a bottoms-up approach. So you're going to start with observation. You're going to notice things. You're observing. And you're looking for patterns. And once you start establishing some patterns, you come up with a hypothesis. And what is a hypothesis? An educated guess. I think this is true based on what I'm observing. And from that hypothesis, you come up with a theory. So really what you're doing here is moving from observation to probability. Based on what I've looked at, I think this is probably true. The big difference between deduction and induction is whereas deduction moves from a law to 100% certainty, induction moves from observation to probability, which means your conclusion is likely. It might even be 99.9% likely. But if there is any wiggle room, if there's even the slightest room for doubt that it might not be 100% true, then it's induction. So it's likely, might even be most likely, but you can't say for 100% certainty.
Would that mean that Sherlock Holmes used deductive reasoning on everything except for whenever he said that you left your husband?
What do you think?
Because he made the observation that the ring was gone, and the pattern that when you leave your husband, you take your ring off. His tentative hypothesis
I think
is
they were
that.
all inductive. Because
Okay, how come?
there were different ways that, like he pointed out her necklace and how it looked like she was married to a governor or something, and she could have gotten that necklace other ways by being rich in different ways. Or
No, that was too nice for a governess, and that somebody gave it to. Because she was good.
Is that observation? Was he starting with observation?
Yeah.
Remember, he says to Mary, it's the little details that mean everything. So what is that essentially saying? It's the little details. What is he referring to what he's doing?
He's starting with observation.
He's starting with observation. And if you watched, any of you watched the BBC show Sherlock, or how many of you have seen the Sherlock movies? You're familiar. You've read the stories. You know he starts with observing, right? And then he comes up with a conclusion. Most often, his conclusions are amazingly right on, right? But are they 100% certain? No. So really, he's using induction. So let's look at an example of this. If I say to you, January has always been cold here in Siberia. Today is January 14th, so it is going to be another cold day in Siberia. Why is that inductive rather than deductive? All right, wait, one person talking here. You again.
It's because you're observing it's always been cold in January.
Okay. what word in there lets us know we're observing?
It has
Okay, so here I'm observing, right? I don't have any data for that. I'm just observing. It's always been cold here in Siberia. So it's January 14th. How could this be? I mean, probably it's going to be cold. It's Siberia, right? But is that 100% certain?
No.
The sun could explode. I mean, who knows? It's not 100%, so that's exactly. So inductive reasoning is making a conclusion based on empirical data. And it's kind of the idea that if I observe something to be true many, many times, then I'm going to conclude that it's going to be true all the time. Now, in your daily life, as you go throughout your day, which do you use more, deductive or inductive reasoning? Depends on what you do. Can anybody give me an example of how you guys use inductive reasoning just during your day?
When you get to make questions, the teacher's like, you could be like, oh, well, there was milk in the fridge every day, so there should be milk in the fridge today.
Okay. Okay.
It might not be.
The pattern in your house is there's always milk in your fridge, so you just conclude that there will be milk in your refrigerator.
And say like if you have a class that usually has homework like every night, you can infer that you'll probably have homework tonight.
Very good.
In sports, they use that a lot because they're like, this team has won all their games and the quarterback's so good, but it's not 100%.
Very nice. Not 100% certain, but you're basing it on your observation. We've won this many games. Nice. So you guys probably use induction a lot, and try to start thinking about that when you might do it. Here's another one. If you got a bag of marbles, or let's say M&Ms, a bag of M&Ms, which would be really interesting because you expect your M&Ms to be all different colors, right? So let's say you get a bag of M&Ms and you start eating them, and the first one you pull out is blue, and the second one you pull out is blue, and the third one you pull out is blue, and the fourth one you pull out is blue. You're going to think to yourself, I've got some weird bag of M&Ms and they're all blue. That's inductive reasoning. That's not 100% certain. The 50th M&M you get to might be red, right? So with inductive reasoning, a lot of scientific discoveries. How does inductive reasoning play a role in science? My science people, to all of you.
They observe something scientific.
How does inductive reasoning lead to a lot of scientific discoveries? What do you have to do?
Scientific method.
Where they live, where that species lives,
Well, if it's
and
biological.
what they eat and everything.
It's like you're doing a test. You say, this is what I think will happen.
They'll make like a guess about something based on something they saw in another experiment they did.
Okay, so they noticed patterns.
It's a discovery.
Right.
So
And-
They like guess about another pattern, something else, but they don't know for sure yet.
Good, yeah. Yeah, it's a hypothesis.
since it's a discovery, there can't already be a theory or a law to start from.
Very good. With induction, the key there is the idea of discovery. Very nice. All right, so let's do this. I want to test and see how you guys are doing with this. This is just kind of informal. You need a piece of paper, but it can be pretty small, so if you partner up with somebody, you can split one in half. Okay? Okay, everybody have one. Small piece of paper. All right. Okay, you're going to probably know the answers to these. Don't get all excited and shout them out. What I'm doing right now is just taking a really kind of informal assessment to see, if you're getting it or not, or if we need to revisit it. Right? I think you're getting it. So here's the first one, and all you have to do for this first one, number one, is write, is this an inductive or a deductive? Would this be induction or deduction? So if I said to you, Smith only owns blue pants and brown pants, Smith is wearing a pair of his pants today. So Smith is either wearing blue or brown pants today. Again, don't shout it out. Just for yourself. Jot down if you think that this would be induction or deduction.